Does that radio static count as an intro? It's the same static every time. Another year has passed, another plague of 2023 wrap-up videos have been unleashed upon the YouTube masses. But I only made, what, 11 videos last year? I played a lot of games, and not just the ones you saw me play. In fact, I played a lot of games that were really good, but they wouldn't receive any airtime on this channel normally. So, in the interest of talking about more games in less time and artificially inflating my stats, let's go over 10 games I played in 2023. Well, sort of 10, because I played a collection and there's a whole series I want to talk about. So let's talk about 10-ish games I played in 2023. Well, sort of 2023, because I technically started playing one of these games at the end of 2022. So let's talk about 10-ish games I played in 2023-ish. Sure.
Thank you, Gotham. Imprisoned behind these walls, gang leaders are fighting a bloody war in the middle of our once great city. Every inmate from Arkham Asylum and Blackgate Prison has been relocated to this facility. How can this be safe for the people of Gotham?
This year, I finally played the Arkham series. Starting with Arkham Asylum, which is also the game I had the most fun with, I played through each and every one. Yep, each and every one. I've definitely finished all of them, didn't get distracted and never finish Arkham Knight. Despite this first entry being 4 whole games, I really don't have much to say. I mean, what can be said that hasn't already? The free-flow combat is immensely satisfying. The first game's boss fights are... well, the story is great. Arkham Knight is the least fun. I'm sorry, I got a little burnt out. The tank segments kinda suck. I will say the Predator segments are the best parts, and definitely are not intended for an impatient little moron like myself.
Ah, fuck!
Signalis is one of the most gripping, immersive horror experiences I've played lately, and I'm glad I actually bothered to pick it up. It took me a few months after hearing about it to actually go play it, and while I haven't quite beaten the game at the time of writing, internet osmosis means I know more than I should. This game's use of atmosphere is incredible, something to be genuinely studied and learned from. And it's such a breath of fresh air from the glut of mascot horror being pumped out in recent years. First-person segments that are genuinely so stressful despite never putting you in any danger, a very clear love for survival horror classics, and one of the most confusing and emotional stories put to code that still defies simple explanation. This game is a beacon of light in a genre becoming fast overrun. Please, if it looks even mildly interesting, play it. After falling very deeply in love with Metroid Dread, I just had to play the Metroid Prime Remaster. I tried so hard to get a physical copy, but it kept selling out and I just said screw it. And I have not beaten it at time of writing. Okay, look, I don't always play games through to completion. In fact, I usually don't. If I'm not playing a game for a video, I can end up not seeing it through for one reason or another. Metroid Prime is a great adaptation of Metroid's exploration into a first-person shooter, although I think the game kind of drags. I'll get around to beating it one of these days.
Objection!
A cornerstone of the visual novel genre, Ace Attorney is as gripping and intellectually engaging as it is weird and frustrating. At its best, Ace Attorney tells genuinely affecting, overarching stories with emotional credibility and intelligent puzzles. At its worst, it makes you watch as every character makes Phoenix's life even harder and have to keep a guide handy because of how obtuse the solutions can be. I personally prefer strategywiki.org.
and welcome to yet another day of space adventure. You are only 5 light years away from your destination, home. The fuel tank is full and the ship is flying at full speed. Today's to-do list contains waking up, adjusting to
I have a bit of a confession to make. I don't actually dislike platformers. One of the first videos I made was all about putting platformers on trial with Banjo-Kazooie, and I did kind of play up my dislike for the genre. It's true I generally don't enjoy platformers very much, especially 3D platformers, but I've played a little too much Kirby to say I dislike them. A Hat in Time is a delightful, energetic, and funny romp through well-designed platforming levels that never feels too punishing. It regularly experiments with new mechanics without ever feeling the need to keep them around, and though it has occasional weak points, it is perhaps the best time I've ever had with a 3D platformer. I also have not beaten it at the time of making this video. I have a process, okay? Bit of a niche cut, this one. Haiku the Robot is the first offering by Mr. Morris Games, and while it wears its inspiration on its sleeves, that doesn't undermine its value. A very quick and enjoyable romp with tightly designed combat, well worth the $20 price tag. I highly recommend it. One day, and I wish this was a joke, I suddenly felt a very strong urge to play a pixel art RPG. Any pixel art RPG, and after some consideration of my options, I purchased Octopath Traveler. Don't be mad. I haven't beaten the game yet. I know. Octopath Traveler is a great game. The gameplay loop created by breaking an enemy and dealing as much damage as possible before they recover is intensely addicting. And the characters' individual stories have almost all managed to grip and emotionally invest me right away, Therian. Every once in a while, I pick it up and make more progress, and someday I will be proud to fish this out of the endless pile of RPGs I haven't actually finished and move it to the slowly growing pile of RPGs I have actually beaten. A Highland Song, released in December of 2023, just barely snaked onto my list of games played this year. But it did make it, and I am truly so glad it did. A Highland Song is a beautiful game. This hand-drawn and painted style makes it so much more visually impactful than anything I've played all year. The main character, Moira, is a delight to play as, and the game's story strikes a personal, emotional chord. If you've ever walked out of your house at 8 in the morning, having not gone to bed, and just walked several blocks in pajamas for no reason, this game will get to you. If you haven't done that very specific task, I don't know, your mileage may vary. And that's all before getting to the rhythm sections, which are set to beautiful music that I'm not going to risk playing here. I don't have that much of a death wish.
Thank you. I pray that the seas weren't too rough on you. That's good to hear. We shall be in port soon. This is our outpost, El Garden.
And this is the reason for that second-ish in the title. I technically picked up Rise at the tail end of 2022, but it defined so much of my gaming this year that it wouldn't feel right to not include it. After putting in a casual couple hundred hours, all of it solo, I can truly say Monster Hunter has cemented itself as a franchise that I will always be happy to return to. This game was the catalyst for my character creators video. It kicked up my interest in in-game fashion. The gameplay loop became so endlessly addictive and curio crafting so intimidating that I didn't touch it until I literally couldn't beat Primordial Malzena. I'm still working on that, actually. This channel will become a Monster Hunter account as soon as Wilds drops, be prepared. 2023 was a hell of a year for me, and it will always have a little bookmark in my head as the year I started chasing this pipe dream for real. Thanks for showing up, and here's to 2024, huh?